Today we're going to learn how to brew coffee with Raf of Raf Makes again. So it's a basic guide today, though I'm sure there'll be a more advanced one in the future.
Yep.
So we're going to brew up some of the coffees that we'll be putting on the stall as well and talking about them. Take it away, Raf. So you don't need much to get started. Obviously there's endless kit one can get, but to begin with, the most basic things to get the best out of your coffee, what would you recommend?
Some kind of nice vessel, tall enough and that you can see how the brew is kind of pouring.
Right.
That's useful. If you've got a French press, that usually will suffice. V60, really good way to start. They're very, very affordable, and they are quite easy to use. You can still experiment with them as well. Paper's easily found in most coffee shops. A measuring spoon. So I find that a heaped one of these tends to be about 15 grams. So if you then work with about a cup of water, you're looking at a pretty average recommended recipe here. Most of this stuff can be found in the kitchen if you don't have it.
Right.
The only other thing is a coffee grinder. So here I'm using an electric, but you can find really good hand grinders. So with the grind we can control the time, which lets us have that perfect extraction to bring out the high notes, the low notes, the body of the coffee, and really just lets us enjoy the best coffee.
Excellent.
First we want to pre-wet the paper. This will just get rid of any papery taste which is unfortunately stuck in there.
Now, you're using a fancy kettle with the gooseneck, but you don't need that. There is, again, just a matter of pouring with your regular kettle, just that much more, be more careful with it.
Yeah, a regular kettle, if you don't fill it too much, and you work near a sort of the end quarter, should be able to give you enough precision to work well with a V60. I'm going to put one heaped scoop, something like this, and drop it in.
Of course, if you have the scales, you make it to measure. That's 15 grams.
And yeah, then just pretty much dump all of that in there. And start. So the first bit we call the bloom. So here we'll pour about a third of the water. This just lets all the coffee get wet. And give it a little spin if you can.
And if you see there are gas bubbles coming out, now that's basically gas that was trapped in the beans. So by wetting it like this, you get rid of that gas, and then you can pour the rest.
So I tend to start by just pouring a little bit on the sides, but that's a personal preference.
This is another top tip, is that you basically pour the exact amount of water into the kettle if you don't have scales.
And yeah, that's pretty much an empty kettle, so it should be our kind of like 250 to 300 grams of water using the old cup method. So this is Clifton's. What's
Coffee
this
of the
one?
month in Caffeine magazine. Love these cups. There's a lot going on there. Syrupy.
Yeah.
Very toffee-like smell.
Colour's beautiful as well. Really clean.
Very clean.
Sort of like melted brown sugar.
And I'd imagine as it cools, one of those flavours will take over.
Yeah.
Don't know which one yet.
Hoping the sweetness, it's really exciting that the sweetness is in there.
Yeah. So, we're now trying Gashonga.
Yeah, this is
Very bright smell. Sharp.
again green apples.
Yeah.
But they're not candy coated this time. Surprisingly a lot sweeter than it smells.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is lovely.
It's a kind of dry fruit experience.
Yeah, it's sort of like a Granny Smith apple, and it's sweeter than you think it will be. If you're into coffee and you have one coffee and a Sunday off and feel in the mood to have more than one, you can make each cup a little different, and probably by your third cup that day you'll have it perfect. So every morning when you wake up during that week, you're going to have a much better tasting coffee.
Yeah.
So the fun begins and the rabbit hole starts to show itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's an endless pursuit. So if you follow Raf's and basically the general script when it comes to brew guides and the experts telling you brew ratios, you'll really get the best out of your coffees that way.